Uh, Hi, it's SK Nicholas, Stephen, you know the score. I thought I'd do another video, my fourth now. Um, it's regarding the second journal, the second volume of a journal for damn lovers. I've uh, I've ordered the proof. I've got the proof copy uh, in the post. It's coming over from America, and so I submitted my manuscript and it checked out. It was okay. And then that was on a Sunday, I think, and then on the Monday, I I won't go into the boring technical details, but I had the front cover and the back cover, which I created myself on Photoshop, and I submitted them and had a massive ball ache trying to get it right because again, I don't know what I'm doing in Photoshop. I blag it. I literally winging it as I do with everything else. But when I uploaded the two covers, you have to upload them with 300 DPI, which is like dots per image, which I did. And then when I tried submitting them, it told me that there wasn't 300 DPI. There was 299 DPI. I went fucking mental on Monday evening. I was at one point I threatened to knock out Photoshop. I actually threatened to knock out Photoshop. I don't know how I would have achieved that. But so yeah, it was a pain in the bum. I had to then jig around with loads of stuff in Photoshop, but I uploaded the covers and the spine yesterday, which was Tuesday the 10th. And so I uploaded the covers, the manuscript, and then got an email today, today being the 11th, which is a Wednesday, and said that it was fine. I was able to download a PDF um, of the whole thing, the covers and the manuscript, the actual interior. I've checked it out. It looks good. I can't see any issues. So I've ordered the proof copy, which is being shipped from America. It's really strange. Like if I was to order the proof, sort of uh, just just buy a sort of normal shipping, it would take 6 weeks to arrive. It would be literally, I'm looking down there at the date, it would be literally, yeah, 6 weeks, the end of November, if I was to just choose like a $4 shipping kind of thing, which is mental. I don't know what they're sending it, like pigeon or no idea. So I had to pay the really expensive one. It's just like it cost $4 for me to order a proof of my own book, um, and then it cost $15. What's that like? £10, £11 sort of postage and packaging, which again is nothing really. So the proof copy I should get Wednesday the 18th of October. Wednesday the 18th I should get the proof, and provisionally, if I get the proof then and it's fine and there are no issues, I can make the second volume of A Journal for Damn Lovers available to purchase on the Friday, which would be Friday the 20th of October. The first journal, the first volume of Damn Lovers, came out on the 21st of October last year. So it would literally just be one day shy of a year, a whole year since the first one came out. So it's pretty cool to think that I have a date provisionally the 20th of October, and provisionally that's my date. Again, I don't really see the proof copy being an issue. I've checked over it digitally. I couldn't see any issues. My main worry, I think, is you know, fuck, what happens if I spelt my name wrong? you know, or what happens if I've spelt damn lovers wrong? I put two e's in, but I've checked the digital copy. There's nothing wrong with the covers. I mean, in terms of getting the physical copy, I think that it's interesting because there can be differences in color when you look at something in the screen on screen and you design the cover on screen. Um, the first book, the first volume, the eyes on screen were blue. You probably can't see this, but the eyes were blue, like a clear blue. But the eyes, when it's come out on the physical version, the eyes have come out sort of a purple color. There's, I'm that's nitpicking. So I think that everything else though was okay. The other thing is the trim. Again, well, I don't want to go into technical. I'm not one for technology, but it's the trim. So the initial image that I had, sort of, it came underneath. These sort of like red sort of little whirly things, there was a space underneath them, and again my hair, it's sort of cut into my hair, there was again like a little bit of space there. So it's always interesting to get the proof copy, the physical proof copy, because you can see if there is an issue. I don't think there should be. There wasn't really with this one. There shouldn't be with the second one. I've designed it so that nothing is being cut off. I won't end up cutting off the last letter of my name or the title. But it's interesting to look at those things again inside the second volume. It should be all right. It's been proofread. I've gone over it so many times. It should be fine. There might be a typo that sneaks in. I'd be pretty gutted if there is. But again, it's this isn't, it is what it is. As long as I don't spell my name wrong on the cover, and as long as I don't, end up sort of having a spelling mistake in the very first sentence, I'll be all right, to be honest. There's a few differences in terms of the second journal to the first journal, and this is sort of really trial and error. When I was going through, when I sort of published, when I was editing and publishing the first one, if you've got a copy, you'll notice that sometimes I sort of have pieces that start on the sort of like a few lines down, or I'll have pieces that start, just at the bottom there. I've tried to eradicate that this time. Where possible, again, you have a new piece that starts literally 3 lines from the bottom. I've tried to eradicate that, and I've tried where possible. So look, a piece starts there, like literally a line and a bit down. Fucking trial and error. So where possible, I'm trying to find an example. So like, yeah, the first piece, I've tried to get pieces to start up at the very top. And I've done that quite a lot of times. So I think that the writing experience, it's a little bit more kind of clear. It looks a little bit more sort of professional. So there's a few sort of things I've changed with the second journal. So it should be, again, touch wood, it should be there. Again, next Wednesday, I should get the physical proof copy, and then that gives me a couple of days. If there is an issue, that would really suck. But if there is an issue, then I kind of, it gets put back a couple of weeks, because then I would have to sort of find the issue on the cover or in the manuscript. Then I have to submit it. I have to upload it again, and then I have to wait for another proof copy. So that would be a piss take. But if worst comes to worst, it would be a delay of 2 weeks. But provisionally, touch wood, yeah, next Friday the 20th of October, literally nearly nearly a year to the day since the first one came out. And it's weird, as I've mentioned in a previous video, the second journal is 20 months. It's 20 months of my life. It's 12 months of editing pieces and putting them on the blog, and then it's sort of another 8 months of editing, going through draft after draft after draft. And it's 20 months of working on this thing, 20 months building up to this moment where I can have this physical copy of the second journal in my hands, and I can make it available for other people. And it's really weird. It's such a strange feeling that I've dedicated 20 months of my life the second journal, and it's the idea that it's this time next week, hopefully, again, touch wood, I could have it in my hands. And that's it's kind of a bit nerve-wracking, not just because I'm anxious to hope, hopefully that there's nothing wrong with it, but just the fact that I've dedicated 20 months of my life to the second journal, and all these ideas and visions, the tiny moments of euphoria, the moments when I felt like sort of giving up and whatever, all the mood swings and everything else. 20 months of my life have been dedicated to this, and the idea that this time next week it'll be in book form. I'd actually have it in my hands. All these visions, these ideas, this passion, all these journeys. It'll be in my hands, and it's like when I had the first one, when the first one came, I got home from work, I opened up the package, and this is the proof of the first one. It comes with a little proof sign at the back. I opened it up and I was so kind of anxious, and I was like, oh yeah, I couldn't. I'd never had anything sort of like this happen. I'd never written anything before, that was published. So when the first one came in the post, it was like I sort of opened it slowly, like there was a bomb in it, and it was so bizarre to hold it, you know. So yeah, to have the second one in a physical copy, it'll be available on Kindle as well. But for me, I'm a traditionalist. I like having something that you can hold, that you can put in your bag, something that's there, So to have a physical copy of, the second journal will be a tremendous kind of feeling, and tremendously strange, just because it won't quite feel real. The fact that I've been lost in all these different layers of time for the past 20 months, and suddenly it's all contained in this one book. That is the weirdest feeling. I really can't describe it. But it'll be really exciting. Again, as I've mentioned, I'm not going to bang on about it, but it will be really exciting to have that vision there. For myself, I can kind of take great pleasure in saying, you know what, I spent 20 months of my life. This was over 2 years. This was 2 years of prose. 2 years, January to January. Um, but then again, there was another several months of editing. So this was like 2.5 years of my life went into this, and I did it. I didn't expect to sell many copies. I didn't do it because I thought it was going to take the world by storm. I did it because I needed to do it. And again, the second journal, again, 20 months just put into this book. Again, I don't expect to sell shitloads. I don't expect it to set the world on fire. But you do it, and I do it because I I'm compelled to. I have to do it, and it's weird because I'll go off on a slight tangent, but it's all kind of necessary. When the first book was came out, it came out on Friday the the 21st last year, and I kind of I felt really excited, I felt pleased, and everything else. But even that Friday, I was writing blogs. I was writing blogs that will go into the second piece, into the second journal. It's never ending. It's a cycle. I can't sort of give myself, I have booked myself a week off work next week, just so I can tie up everything and sort of change social media, and get the links to it, and sort of try and publicize it a little bit. Um, Publicize, not publishize. That's the inner dyslexic coming through. Um, so yeah, I've lost my train of thought. Fuck's sake. Um, so yeah, that was it. I'll I'll be really happy when the second journal comes out, like I was happy when the first journal came out. But then I don't really have. I've got a week off. I'm doing all these other bits and pieces. I don't have that downtime. I won't kind of. I can't say to myself, right, that's it. I'm going to give myself a month off. I'm going to give myself 2 weeks off. I just carry on, and I'll be blogging, and that stuff will go in the third journal. Touch wood. I'll probably pick up the novel again. I haven't touched it in a year. So it's kind of just business as usual. Um, it's just it's yeah, it's I do it because I love it, but at the same time, again, it's there's no real downtime. I can't allow myself. I can't just say to myself, right, that's it. I'm going to take time off and just chill out. I'd be at a loose end. I'd be thinking, fuck, no, I've got to do it. I've got to carry on writing. Um, so yeah, it is continuous. As I mentioned, the novel. Um, it's been on and off for several years. I haven't touched it in a year. The novel was called My Red Abyss. Technically, it still is, but I probably won't keep that title now. I might, but the novel is the manuscript as it appears now is it's about 100,000 words. So this was 90,000. Um, the second journal is about 85,000. So it's about the same size, but the manuscript for the novel is all over the place. There's parts of it that I updated last year. I think I went through and I rewrote the first four chapters. Some parts of it are like 4 years old. It really is kind of all over the place. Again, I've put it on the back burner the last few years. I've concentrated on the blog and the journals. I think quite rightly as well. So the novel's kind of really all over the place. But the novel comes in two parts. So what I've decided to do is the first part, the first half is quite sort of relatively straightforward. I'm setting everything up. And then the second half is where I'm going to have to do a hell of a lot of work. So I've decided really, um, if I if I this the second journal was from February 16 to February 17. So the third journal would be from March. It would be prose written between March of this year of 17 and March of next year. So I've got really about sort of 5 months before I start editing on the third journal. Again, there's no downtime. So really, I've got sort of 5 months of blogging. I'm going to try and catch up with stuff. I'm so far behind everything. Apologies to anyone that I haven't messaged or replied to. I know there's things that I need to do, which I'm going to start doing them now because again, it's out of my hands until I get the proof copy back. So I'm going to keep going with that. But so yeah, those 5 months I'm going to pick up the novel and try and work on that first half and really do something with it. Really try and sort of bring it up to scratch. So that's the plan in terms of that. Um, so yeah, I'm not going to go for an hour. I'm going to go for half an hour. So I've just under sort of 15 minutes or so left. I thought I'd make it a bit punchy, um, and yeah, I'll maybe do another one at some point towards the end of the week, and then really I'd really like to get the proof copy and sort of have this physical object in my hands and talk about that. And again, maybe do some readings. And then after sort of I publish the second journal, I'll do more readings, and I'd like the idea of kind of reading through some stuff from the second journal and kind of maybe giving a bit of insight into it. Some pieces won't. Some pieces I think the more straight down the middle pieces I won't really need to give background information on because I think they're pretty self-explanatory. But other pieces I think I'd quite like to kind of shed a bit of light on where I got certain influences, what I was perhaps trying to do. So I think that would be really cool actually. So yeah, that's the plan. Next Wednesday, proof copy. If it doesn't come, I'm going to go mental. I won't, but I'll be a bit pissed off. But yeah. So just recently, I've been, as I mentioned in the last one, I was talking about how I wanted to write about sex being, more than just the action, more than just the act, more than just the kind of he said that he did this, she did that, and I was focusing on transformation in terms of taking my muse and sort of having her kind of transform. These things are still ongoing. I did the last What was the last piece I wrote? Langoliers. I wrote I wrote a piece called Langoliers, which I published yesterday, which would be Tuesday. There's a lot of transformation in that piece towards the end. I quite enjoyed it. It was kind of, I'm not quite sure what I was doing with it, but I'm happy with that. I like being out of control. Another thing I was thinking of earlier was versions. In the second journal, there's a few pieces where I talk about different versions of me, different versions of the muse, different versions of other people. When I write, I'm sort of going through all these doors and I'm time traveling, and as a result, I'm seeing these different versions of myself. I jump back 2 years ago, there's that version of me. I jump back 5 years ago, there's that version of me. And I look at different versions of lovers. You know, if I go back to this memory, there's that version of her. And it's very strange to kind of constantly be going through these doors, to be time traveling around and to see these different versions of myself and other people, and to write about them. And sometimes when I go back to a certain time and space, when I go into this bubble, when I penetrate the bubble, that's rude, but fuck it, I do it. It's my channel, it's my video. When I penetrate the bubble, I sometimes I write what I see as I am now. So it's kind of 33-year-old SK going back in time and writing about what I see with this mind, with these eyes. Other times I don't. I write about it through the eyes of the person I was, the 25-year-old version of myself, the 19-year-old version of myself. Fuck. To think I was ever 19. Impossible. And it's very strange. I kind of find myself becoming a bit disorientated. And again, if I'm thinking of a past lover, if I'm thinking of the muse, I write about them as they were, you know, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. And it's really strange because then I see these people, I'm in contact with a couple of women I've dated, and we're on good terms. Um, some of them hate me and don't want anything to do with me. That is what it is. But it's very weird when I kind of do have some kind of contact, or I do see what the muse is up to, or I do see what somebody else is up to, and it's such a strange feeling because there I am writing, and they're in my writing and everything else, and then I see them in real life, and I feel completely stretched and pulled apart because it's like, well, hang on, I was writing about this last night, and they were in this piece, and I was writing about them as they were X amount of years ago, and then I see them on maybe Instagram or Facebook, or I see the muse, and it's just like it's reality suddenly starts to crumble. And it's a really weird feeling when you're moving through all these doors and you're seeing so many different versions, so many different realities, and then this reality, this string, when you suddenly see the world as it exists now, it's so weird. It's like when, for example, that feeling where you walk down the street and you see someone that you haven't seen in 5 or 10 years, and you suddenly go, fuck me. I think I spat again then. Whatever. But when you see someone you haven't seen in 5 years, maybe longer, and you suddenly just go, whoa, 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 whoa. That's what it's like with writing. Like every day, there's that cause and effect. I write about someone, the muse, and then I see them as they are now. Most of the time it's just, again, on Instagram or Facebook, but I feel pulled apart. And this leads me on to a piece I wrote last night. I don't think it's got a title yet, but I was kind of writing about that kind of that confusion. I guess it's my kind of alter ego. When I write, I am in the words. I write from my sort of perspective, but it's kind of like my alter ego, I guess. It's kind of the me, but it's kind of like the different it's a different version of me, but it is me, if that makes sense. It's you could say it's my dark half, potentially. That could be the best way of saying it. But yeah, so I was writing this piece, and I just thought I'm gonna write something that deals with that kind of that state of confusion. And so the character, my kind of dark half, I guess, was in this piece. Again, it's 300-400 words. I can't quite remember. And and much like the end of Langoliers, he is he's kind of he's in this state of confusion. And I think that's because I'm dealing with the confusion of reality, of real life, where you can experience this kind of this collision of all these different versions, all these different realities. They all just kind of they and again, one minute I'm 2 years ago, the next minute I'm 5 years ago, the next minute I'm here, I'm today, then I'm going through another door, and it's bewildering. I love it. It's again, it makes me feel like a magician or a time traveler, but at the same time, it's very kind of odd. Wasn't there was a book, I think, called The Time Traveler's Wife, about a guy that jumps back and forth. I think my mum read the book. I think I watched the film once. Yeah, so it's kind of sort of like that. So yeah, it's very confusing at times. So I've been focusing on that in my recent work. Just that confusion that comes from the creative act of literally just not knowing quite where you are, because you're traveling around through the years and the months, different people, and then you see them as they are now, it's like, again, my God, I was writing a piece yesterday and we were in love, and now it's the version of you, it's not the version of you that was there. It's bewildering. It's like, when you look into a mirror, when there's a mirror in front and behind, and you just see yourself just kind of going like that. And you sort of do that weird move like that, and you, again, all these different versions of you move, but slightly kind of reduce rate of speed. It's a head fuck, but it's one I enjoy. So yeah, I'm just coming up to half an hour mark. I'll cut it to half an hour, and I'll do a couple more up until next week, hopefully, when I get the proof copy. That's what I'm aiming for. If it gets delayed, I'll go mental, and I'll probably record a video of me just going insane. I'll strip naked and I'll start punching myself, and then I'll probably like down a bottle of wine and pass out with my trousers and pants around my ankle. I don't wear uncle fuck. I don't wear pants. I wear boxers. No one needs to know that, but I put it out there. So yeah, the proof copy, hopefully October 18th, and publication date October 20th, next Friday, October 20th, 2017. I'm looking forward to it. It's such a strange feeling to think that it's, again, 20 months have been building up to this point, and it's going to be in my hands. Oh, it's going to be in my hands, and it'll be there, and hopefully I can say, look, there it is. Here's the first one. Here's the second one, and I can say that again. It's so strange. It's such a strange feeling to think that the second volume will be in my hands. It'll, this physical object, 20 months worth of writing, of ups and downs, and of visions. And again, really, it it's 12 months. I wrote it between February 16, February 17. It's 12 months of my best writing. That for me is the biggie. It's, if being honest, if I didn't think much of the second journal, probably wouldn't be doing these videos. I'd probably kind of go, oh, I'd just put an Instagram post up and say, I've got the second journals out next week, buy it if you want. But no, I'm really proud of it. It's I'll probably go over half an hour now, but I'll end it with this. When I was studying at uni, I always used to stay till the studios closed at night. They used to close at 8 p.m. This is when I was studying in High Wycombe. Reading was different. Personal circumstances changed. I had to get the bus back quite early. Um, but I always stayed till 8 o'clock when I was in High Wycombe studios, and by that time everyone else sort of tended to go between 5 and 6. So I was one of the last people in the studios, and I just used to love walking around everyone's studio spaces and just seeing what they had. Because you would walk into someone's space and what they had on the wall, that painting, that drawing, that photograph, that sculpture, that represented them. I could know nothing about that person, and yet I would walk into their space and look at their work and think, I'm going to judge that person based on that what they've got, what work they've got hanging up. So for me, this book, although I've got work on my website, on the blog and Instagram and Facebook, this represents me as a writer. But this is a year old, and even when it came out, I felt that I had moved on. Again, I think it's really good. It's a really good document of the fledgling footsteps of a writer. But for me, the second journal is where I'm at. That represents me, and that's why I'm so excited, because I can have this object where I can say, this represents me as a writer and also as a human being, and I that's what makes me feel really proud and kind of excited. The fact that I will have something fresh, that I can say, look, this is what I've got to offer as a writer, and I think that you'll be entertained. I think it will take you on a journey. Again, there's beauty in there, but there's also violence and a lot of downers. So I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about the fact that, again, as a human, that's what I've got to offer the world. Again, one of the great things about the creative process is that you can walk away with it, and you can have something that only you can do. Like, again, I'm not going to start knocking other people, but I when I look at people that aren't creative, I think, God, yeah, you've probably you have more money than I do, but you don't have any. You haven't got that something, and that's what I love about the creative process. Is that when you have, again, when you have these paintings, when you have these photographs, when you have music, when you have a book, that you can say, only I could do. Only I could write this. Only I could write the second piece. That for me is, it's mental. It's such an incredible feeling. And again, you want to sell copies and etc etc. But just the fact that you've got something, you put that into the world. Nobody else did. You put that into the world, and that's it's such an experience. It's such a thrill to be able to say, off my own back, I spent X amount of years on, 2 years working towards this. The second journal, I spent again another 20 months all in all. And I did that. I did it, and I stuck with my vision, and I've got that to show for it. That's such a, it's brilliant. No one can take that away from you. Again, even if you sell no copies of your whatever, the fact that you've done that, because not many people do this really, so it's an amazing feeling. So yeah, I'll end it now. I've gone over, like, nearly 5 minutes, but that's okay. So yeah, next Wednesday, hopefully the proof copy comes. I'll probably do a video before then. I'll talk about the writing. I don't know why I suddenly did that. I'll talk about the writing process of the pieces where I'm at that point. I might also try and sort of maybe just point out a few books, and talk about how they influenced me. There's one book that I could talk about. It's called Boredom by Alberto Moravia. Not one of the best books ever written, but very meaningful to me. There's a few other bits and pieces. I might just sort of bring them out and chat about them for a few minutes, because again, that's what I love when I see other people's videos, when they hold a book up and I think, oh, I've never read that, and then I go on Amazon and pick it up, and again, I might talk about a little bit about music, make it sort of a bit more bite-sized, and then I go off and talk about weird shit from my childhood, which again some people might find interesting. So yeah, I'm SK Nicholas. I'll see you soon, and so yeah, provisionally 20th of October 2017 is when the next volume 2 of A Journal for Damn Lovers is out. So yeah, I'll see you soon. God bless. Take care. Don't do drugs, not the bad ones anyway. Um, Always focus on dental hygiene. That's a thing. And drink green tea. Green tea is good for you with a drop of honey. And yeah, I'll see you later.